Welcome to Fresh Word Ministries here in the beautiful city of Jacksonville, Florida. With us, we got Elder James Brandt III right here in Jacksonville, Florida. If you ever need a worship leader or a worship teacher, worship instructor, please feel free to contact him. His information should be popping up on the screen. And next to him is one of our very own, one of Fresh Word's finest, Reverend George Brown. And we're excited about having them with us on today. We're talking about walking in a new dimension. We just started out of 2 Chronicles chapter 5. Reverend Brown was talking to us about consecration. I want you to pick up where you left off on that, please.
Yes. You know, the scripture here, it talks about these people were wearers of epods, or ephods, or however you want to pronounce it. Mm-hmm. But what it says is that they were first and foremost consecrated unto God.
Yes.
If we remember that when the death angel in Egypt struck the house of Pharaoh and all of the land of Egypt, he says that I will make a difference between my people and their people. Yes. And after it had all been said and done, what God said was, because everybody was supposed to die in this place and space, that I will take the Levites for my own. Mm-hmm. Their purpose and function before me is to minister before me. Another translation of that word merely means to stand. He told Moses in the 25th chapter of Exodus, he says, he was talking about the holy place and talking about the Levites. He said the Levites are to come into the holy place and to stand before me. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're talking about standing in the Holy of Holies, in the presence of the holy,
yes,
filth, wrong attitudes will not come. But back to this section of scripture here, if you'll understand, like the second verse here, it says, all the priests who were there had consecrated themselves regardless of their divisions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now that's a very, very important point as a foundational principle of worship. Okay. That is, even Jesus said in the 17th chapter of John, he says, for their sakes I consecrate myself. Mm-hmm. What it's talking about is a whole focus on God. It is when you surrender and forsake everything and everybody in your devotion and adoration of God. That is when you go into a hidden place where there is nobody there but you and God. Yes. In this place of consecration, then you become a vessel of blessing. That is the communion between you and God. We're talking about worship. Right. We're still talking about worship, but we are talking about the principles of worship, and we are talking about the function of worship. See, worship is not to get you to pat your feet, to make you clap your hands, to make you shout, hoop, and holler. That's not God's purpose for worship. Mm-hmm. His purpose is fellowship and communion. These are words that we say in the church to the point where they become meaningless. I don't mean to speak and say everything, but the one point that I want to convey to everybody is that worship is becoming one with the same spirit that spoke everything into existence. You're talking about becoming a commingled being. You're talking about being a being so intimate that where one begins, you can't tell where the other begins. Yes. I'm talking about becoming so grasped into God that He is one, we are one, and where one is, we do not know the beginning of the other. I'm talking of words cannot even express
Yes.
the closeness that God is trying to convey in worship. Because he says in the holy place, this place of focus. Because if you understand the temple and the physical makeup of the temple, you always go from the broad to the narrow.
Mm-hmm.
And in the narrow, on the mercy seat, where the ark of the angels touch, God says, there I will commune with you. Tradition says that this is where the manifest Shekinah glory of God, that is where the angel's wings touched over the mercy seat. There was a blinding light, a blinding blue light that signified the presence of God. But in this section, Pastor Sean, look, it says that they consecrated themselves regardless of their divisions. Mm-hmm. You see, these divisions was a set of order that David had set up so that the 12 tribes would minister before him on a full-time basis periodically through the year, so that everybody would share the burden of ministry. But here, because of the spirit of the moment, it was irregardless. See, people didn't become consecrated until it was their turn. Now they were being consecrated out of turn. Mm-hmm. Because what? The moment was such, the atmosphere was such that everybody needed to do everything they could for God, not for each other, not for publicity, not even for the king, or even David, who had deceased. They were doing what they were doing for God. And God honored their focus. God honored their devotion, their wholehearted commitment to fulfilling his function, not their own, or even the function of their families or their groups. That is, putting him first. The scripture says that delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. But you got to remember, you got to be full of delight. You got to be overflowing with adoration, admiration, love, and devotion for God till it just spills out all over you. Then God finds it a small thing to fulfill your needs.
Listen, we're cracking this the word open. We're cracking worship open, and I like where Reverend Brown is taking us as far as understanding what worship truly is. Once again, your emotions are just a response to what God is doing in you, through you, with you, by you. Everything is being synchronized and coming together. And basically, he's not just doing it for one person, but he's doing it for everybody. And that's where God desires to see us in this day and in this age. Listen, we're not out of word. We're just out of time. I want you to stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. We're coming right back. God bless you.